Good day to everybody out there. This is the first ever Perspective Through Pain YouTube podcast, and we're also on Anchor. You can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Breaker, Spotify. This is Brett Luster with Perspective Through Pain podcast with Steve Russell. This is meant to encourage, train, and inspire you. Now, today we are covering the NFL draft. We're covering different stories of local people who made it really good here around the Staunton, St. Louis, Highland area, Metro East Illinois, near St. Louis. So, say hi, Steve.
Good morning, everybody.
All right, well, it's such an honor to be with everybody out there. This is really a joy to be able to bring this to you. We're just trying to encourage you guys with some lighthearted things to bring out sports to another level on how sports can actually give you a positive look in life, how it can help you achieve your purpose in life. So, Steve, let's talk about some of the key local people. First of all, who are some of the key local people you'd like to start with that really stick out to you in their field, the top of their field, and they're from around here?
Well, baseball right now, it's Jackie Joyner-Kersee. Pretty neat last year. The Minnesota Twins made the playoffs, so that was neat. He got a start, he lost, but I think the team just didn't get many runs, so that happens. So yeah, he's got a couple of kids. He's pretty good. Talked to his wife, Facebook, and she's a really nice person.
Yeah, Highland guy. Mm-hmm.
Way back when, it's in Oberkfell. I know he was born in Highland, but I don't think he played for Highland or I think he lived in Maryville for a while, but I don't think he played for Triad. I couldn't really find anything on him, but he was a World Series champion, third baseman for the Cardinals, and coached in the minors.
Yeah.
And I guess like football would be Brian Cox, who went to St. Louis. He went to the Dolphins. I think he was I know it was a first round pick. I can't tell you what number. Later on, he went to my Bears, but I don't think he did very good there. And I think he got some personal trouble. And let's say football. Tony Romo's not from here, but he went to Eastern Illinois. He's got the only number retired from Eastern Illinois. I think his offensive coordinator was Sean Payton, who's the Super Bowl champion coach and still coaching for the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, Steve, tell me, what does it mean to everybody out there that you can basically be from a small-time area, and if you know your purpose, if you know what God's called you to do, how you can actually make it to the very top of your field? Like you were saying, Tony Romo, he got a contract as the highest-paid broadcaster ever, and what was it, $17 million, I think you said, a year. So what was it? How can somebody? How much of an encouragement is that to everybody out there that you can do whatever you want in your field of study, field of work, if you just focus, no matter where you're from, if you just focus. He went to Eastern Illinois, maybe probably fewer than 20,000 people enrollment. It's a fairly small college, and what does that mean to people?
Yeah, it shows that you can do it. It's a lot of hard work. I mean, I know, like you said, Jake Odorizzi, he trains a lot. I don't know if probably still doing it now. I know they have virtual stuff they do at home, but it's a long grind still. I mean, you can't just say, oh yeah, I'm just not going to do anything.
Yeah.
You got to work on it. Like baseball, I was reading about Tony Gwynn, how he showed up at the park like at noon, watch videos, and then it's a training room. But still these little colleges, it's hard. I know they always talk about the football, well, not really football too much, but basketball, all these little conferences making it, that's why it stinks right now not having the NCAA tournament. These small colleges making it big, going to like the Sweet 16, like Butler was that way for a while. Now they're kind of a bigger college now.
Yeah, you can be in the grind, and if you're willing to it's like part of like what the book I wrote about perspective through pain. If you're willing to own the grind and just stay in it, stay hungry, and commit to the process, you're going to make it through this kind of stuff. I mean, you talk about the small colleges, and I think about people from East St. Louis. My mom, she taught Spanish in East St. Louis high schools for her whole career, about 35 years. And man, I think of Jackie Joyner-Kersee is the one that she talked about probably the most, how she came in there and she didn't have good, clothes on whenever she was coming in, and they were worn clothes, and she came from an impoverished background, but she ended up her and Michael Jordan were the two finalists for the top athlete of the decade, I think it was. And she won, I don't know how many gold medals at the Olympics. And it was crazy to see what she could do coming from where she came from and to be able to make it like that. And now she's got her own center over there in East St. Louis, a community center that has her name on it. And kids are coming up now through there, and they're becoming what they can be, coming out of that community and having a positive, redemptive environment to where they can actually make something of their lives. So those
I'm always reading stories on her.
Yeah.
She really helps out the community.
Yeah, and Darius Miles.
Feeds people.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, she feeds people. Like I said, she trains people now. And
yeah, she was amazing. My mom said that she had a lot of heart whenever she was walking through the halls, and just man. Darius Miles. Yeah, Darius Miles was another one too. Give me just a minute. I'm gonna take a sip of my Starbucks coffee here. To anybody out there who's wondering or how we met, Steve and me, we actually worked together at Walmart of all places. And he doesn't work today. I go in later, but it's great knowing Steve from there. But yeah, Darius Miles was standout athlete on the basketball team at Eastside in East St. Louis, and he was the most sought after high school player in the nation. He ended up being selected with the third pick in the 2000 NBA draft, I think it was, Steve. And man, he lit it up whenever he got into the NBA. He was, but I mean, he had some challenges whenever he got there and everything with finances, and coming from a hard place to make it, like East St. Louis and everything, and just in general being so young and not having a lot of managers, shall we say, coming directly from high school into an NBA league where you're making millions of dollars. That's a big challenge. I mean, I don't know how I would have handled that coming from there, really.
When you're young, everybody young and famous, and you get a rich contract, everybody wants to be your friend, shall we say.
Yeah.
And everybody doesn't like you for the right reasons.
It's hard to know, really. I mean, how you can trust people, and how, whether they're in it for a certain aspect of, what you stand for, what kind of money you're making, what kind of influence you have, who you know. So, Steve, maybe you can give me some insight into that. How can you really know whether somebody is for you or whether they just kind of want something from you?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell. like me, I have a few friends. It's just the way you just can't really trust anybody nowadays. But you kind of know by, like my best friend, like he'd take me to places, and you know who kind of your friends are.
Yeah.
At least most of them. But I think like I was talking earlier too, like I know the Blues did, like they had this number one pick, Eric Johnson, who's not with the Blues anymore, but he roomed with Hal McInnes. And I know Mario Lemieux, when Sidney Crosby got drafted, he roomed with him. So I mean, they were just there, not ready money financially, but there for personal. Hey, don't go out to these bars at 1 or 2 in the morning all the time. Get wasted and get a DUI. You need to stay home with me, and we'll like watch movies and stuff, or like go to a restaurant, but stay away from me at bad places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the Perspective Through Pain podcast with Brett Luster and Steve Russell. This is meant to encourage, train, and inspire you, give you courage. Yeah, one thing that those players, those young players, maybe first, second year in the league, with all that money thrown at them, they're staying with those veterans, those older players. That gives them a certain stability. It gives them a certain amount of perspective, really. Whenever they're they've never been in that position before, they've never had that influence before. That's really awesome to see that. And Steve, can you tell me a little more about kind of positioning yourself near people who've been there, who've done that, and who have kind of faced the same challenges as you have?
Yeah, like basically said, you need to be with the right people, and you need somebody to take care of you. And then you say, oh yeah, like after games, like I've said, if you're like say Sidney Crosby, he's a more Lemieux, like after a game, hey, why don't you sign a few autographs to people? That puts on a good perspective. You're a nice person, and like to eat right too.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff, just the right physical and the mental part too. Hey, like Sidney Crosby might say, hey, Mario Lemieux, what did I do here? What did I like mess up here during the game?
Yeah.
What can I do better? What can I do?
Yeah, it's so important to have that coach with you, basically. That person who's living with you, if you can do that, or that person who's just really close to you, you're seeing as much as possible. I heard this thing actually from Tony Robbins, of all people. He talks about mirroring, and he's talking about doing the same thing that the person in front of you is doing, and mirroring their movements, mirroring even their breathing. He even got into it deep. I mean, we're taking sports to another level today. We're going a little deeper, but whenever you see somebody that you admire, when you see somebody that is maybe in the field that you're in, that you're working in, it's really important to pair yourself with them, to let them know that you do admire that about them, whatever that is, and then pair yourself with them. Say, hey, can I get you a cup of coffee? Can I get you lunch today? Can I schedule a time to take you out somewhere and buy you something to eat? And just let them know, I want to pick your brain. I admire this, and this about you. I think that's really important. I think that's really awesome that those players, I didn't even know that before you told me that today earlier, Steve, about Mario Lemieux taking in those players and all that. So.
Yeah, it's like when the Blues used to sign autographs after games, and they had practice at the Mills, which I think is now closed. But we always talked to a player named Kevin Shatner, named their dog Shaddy after him. He loved us, and he loved us because we talked about video games. He's from New York, so we talked about the Giants, and he really liked that we talked to everything about him.
Yeah.
And there was one day at the Mills, somebody said, why Shatner, he don't sign, he goes the other end and leaves. They said, we'll get him, and we called for him, and then he came out. It's like, yeah, see, I told you.
Yeah. This Geoff Hartlieb, too, while we're on local talent. Geoff Hartlieb is a pitcher for the Pirates. I just spoke to his couple of his family members whenever I was at work the other day, and great people. He's a local guy from Highland, Illinois, near St. Louis. He's been in the majors for this is his second year, I think. They're not playing, of course, but he was in it. He was in the relieving rotation, shall we say, last year. He's making it. He's making it to the top of his profession, and he's from Highland, Illinois. He's from a town of 10,000 people, and that's pretty significant. Jake Odorizzi, he made the All-Star game. He's made it another level or two in his career. and Hartlieb's just making it. He doesn't have a contract yet, but they're paying him game by game, major league minimum. So that's just, man, I love those stories. I love to see people who make it. And Steve, do you have any other stories? Maybe even not sports related. People who have made it locally. I think you said there was a writer that you knew of. I could be in error.
There was a guy from KMWX, and I don't know, he's still alive. His name's Bob Hardy, but
okay.
When radio was, there's no internet. Basically, he was it. He was in the morning show, and I think it was a pretty good show. They did real good rankings. And then they still I think does it maybe once in a while. His name's Ron Jacober, and he did sports on a Sunday morning. I still listen to that occasionally, fill in, but he was a real good. He's from Ireland, so yeah, the success stories are for local because it doesn't really happen too much.
Yeah. Bill Plaschke. Hey, Bill Plaschke, right, Steve?
Yeah.
From SIU Edwardsville.
I always thought he was just a California guy.
Yeah, he went to SIU Edwardsville, and he is a sports writer for the LA Times right now, and he's won the National Sports Writer of the Year award 7 times. I looked into that the other day. I was like, what?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew he was successful and everything. I'd seen him on Around the Horn on ESPN, but yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, musicians, I actually forgot this, but Sarah Evans, she was at Wild Country one time. She's from, was it Kennett, Missouri? That might be Sheryl Crow. She's from Missouri as well.
Mm-hmm.
But Sarah Evans is real nice. She's on my CD, autographed it.
Sarah Evans. I think I've heard of Sarah Evans. Yeah, she's country, right?
Yeah, she was pretty good. I think she made a new CD out.
Steve.
Quite a few CDs out.
Hey, Steve, how can we forget about Gretchen Wilson?
Yeah.
It's Gretchen from country. She's from Pocahontas.
Yeah, that's where I'm from, but my wife went to school with her. She's from Greenville. She didn't really say too much, I would say. It was kind of a partier.
Oh, yeah?
With that big O's all the time. So she got her started with a pound over.
Yeah, can you tell me a little more about that? I've heard about that story, but how did Gretchen Wilson get her start in the country music scene?
And then she played this place which is closed down. It's the former, I think, Lowe's right now, Home Depot. It's called Randy's Rocker. And she had been there. I think they still have it. Of course, she's not there with them, but it's called Beowulf. And I heard she sang there a couple of times, but I might have seen her not knowing it.
Yeah. Huh.
All these places are kind of closed down now. Everything's, Missouri-wise.
Why would you put yourself out there whenever you feel like they might laugh at me. This is unusual. This is strange. People don't do this. They don't just get up and sing at these bars and things. Why would you put yourself out there like that, Steve? Why would somebody overcome that fear like that? Why would they do that?
Yeah, you just gotta get noticed somewhere. Like off topic here, but I heard Pam Anderson got her start. They showed her on a billboard. In Canada, they showed her on the jumbotron, screen. So she got famous. You see there, I think some brewery or somebody was there. And, we could hire this person.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just have to start slow, but.
Yeah, I think I just love those stories where people, they just do it. They get out there, even though it may be uncomfortable. They just put themselves out there, and they just do it. They just say, "Hey, I love this saying that I heard recently. It's done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect," and that means, of course, hey. If you're going to be searching for perfection over and over and over, I'm just going to wait until it's perfect, if it's the perfect timing. till I see the perfect person, till I meet the perfect person in this industry, I'm going to wait till then and then I'm going to make it. No, you need to go now. You need to put that foot forward now. Calculated risk. I mean, be wise about it, but whatever you're up to, whatever you're passionate about, look for how to put your best foot forward, but go for it. Don't wait back. Don't be hanging back, because eventually, if you keep doing that, the opportunity is going to pass you by. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of a story I heard about a country singer named Jason Aldean. The music industry didn't want to put out that he was married. It's like crazy, because I guess they want all the females to like him.
Yeah. Sex symbol, yeah. Yeah, that's another thing, the industry, yeah. The industry, the world is... they have their different motives, don't they, Steve?
Yeah, I read the thing where Nicole Kidman said it's from Australia. People don't know it, but so yeah, there's a lot of prettier women than me. I just made it.
Well, she's also got that going for her. She is a pretty woman.
Yeah.
Former Tom Cruise partner.
Mm-hmm. My wife got to meet him at Wild Country before he got real famous. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. Jill Blodevogel is somebody not a lot of people have heard of, but she wrote for the Scream TV series. Have you heard of that, Steve?
No.
Scream TV. I mean, most people, especially who was born in the 80s and 90s.
The Scream movie?
Yeah, the movie. Most people have heard of the movie. And the movies.
Yeah, the Scream movie, but that's not the TV or anything series.
Yeah, and I believe the series were spun off of the movie. And she wrote many episodes for that TV series. She also wrote the Hallmark movie, The Russell Girl. And it's got a lot of similarities, actually, to my hometown of Staunton. She's from Staunton. Jill Blodevogel is from Staunton here in Illinois. Small town, about 5,000 people. That's where I'm broadcasting from today. But, yeah, she's a really sweet, nice, terrific person. I mean, I spoke with her on the phone probably a couple of years ago, and she's just, she's done a lot in Hollywood. Like, she's written for all types of TV shows. She's kept herself employed as a TV writer now for probably 20 years or more in Hollywood. So that's something that you can go that direction too. It doesn't matter where you're from, no matter where you began, you can make it in the field, in the industry. You can make it as far as you want to make it. Depends how hard you want to work at it.
Yeah, it reminds me of Brad Pitt. He's from Missouri. Exactly, but one of my phone workers is a ex-wife now, but she went to school with him.
Yeah. She know him well?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, he went to Kickapoo High School.
Yeah.
In Springfield, Missouri. My wife and me lived there for 2 years, 2010 to 2012.
You go to Seymour somewhere? I thought he went to college somewhere in Missouri. I could be wrong on that too.
Yeah, I believe he went to the University of Missouri at Columbia there. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, talk about local, like he wasn't right from here, but Bob Costas had to start at I think that St. Louis Spirits of the ABA, and then he did some like wrestling at the Chase.
Mm-hmm.
And of course we had Jack Buck from here. I didn't know it too, but I think he did the first St. Louis Blues game.
Jack Buck did.
Yeah, I got him a book. So she could have got him to sign. He's a fairly nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
I got Joe Buck's